Hello and welcome to We Got a Podcast, a podcast about Dragon Ball from A to Z, from Earth to Namek to Sadala. We cover it all. My name is Randy.
And I'm right there under the ring, Ken.
And I'm the Victory of Goddess, Doug.
Ooh, I like this. All on theme. We're the world's strongest under the heavens trio de dangers, here every other week to talk your ear off about fights, goofs, and everything else in the Dragon Ball cosmos. What is new, guys? How are you? Doug, how are you doing?
Fantastic. Just saw the Mario movie again for the second time because I had Movie Pass.
Okay.
So I was like, yeah, I'll go watch that again. I watched John Wick and then Mario right after. It's such a pleasant movie. It's not a fantastic movie by any means, like by movie standards, but as kids love it. It's safe. It's nice. It's comforting. It's a good time.
Right.
And the action scenes are amazing. Just all the action scenes, like because the animation itself is a 10 out of 10. Everything else is pretty mid, but the Illumination did a great job in like bringing it to life. So yeah.
Oh heck yeah. We have to talk about that Mario movie. So I'm glad that you brought it up. Because I thought it was perfectly serviceable children's movie. Yeah. And it's nice to, see Mario be on the big screen. Good for him.
Yeah.
Ken, what's new with you?
Well, I haven't seen Mario. I plan to see it in about a week. But I have been watching the Daniel Craig Bond films. I just watched Skyfall, which is the third one, last night. To me, James Bond is like the cringiest possible character that has been in like the long history of cinema. Like, it's just womanizing and chauvinistic. It's really, it's hard to watch those
Even
movies.
The Daniel
They're
Craig
so
ones?
Gross. No, the Daniel Craig ones aren't. Like, they're very sex positive. We'll say that. But I wouldn't say they are bad in the way that like the Pierce Brosnan ones were. So, anyways, I'm 3 movies in out of 5 movies. Big thumbs up.
Nice.
Heck yeah.
I can never get through those movies. They were just too boring to me, or just never in the right mood to watch them. But I always wanted to give them another chance. I feel like I see that pattern in myself a lot, where I'm just like, it's not doing it. This widely loved movie is not doing it for me. I'm not trying to be a hipster. It just didn't. It takes a lot for me to really appreciate a movie.
I get it, because the only reason I'm even watching these is because I love Daniel Craig in Knives Out and Glass Onion.
Yes.
He's so good in those movies.
I love those movies.
Let me give this guy's Bond a chance. I'll check it out.
He's not like that at all. But I mean, same guy.
He's got a cute smile.
Have you seen Logan Lucky?
No.
Ooh, you should see that. That's a great movie. Great Daniel Craig, A+. I will say I've never seen a Bond movie from start to finish, so...
Okay, yeah, you're on the same boat as I am then, Randy.
I think I tried Tomorrow Never Dies, one of the Pierce Brosnan ones, but I don't think it clicked. Would it be weird if I started with Daniel Craig?
No, because it's a reboot.
Okay.
So yeah, it's that's basically what I'm doing, because I got like 20 minutes of GoldenEye. Yeah, and you can start with Casino Royale and you'll be good. Yeah.
Okay.
I always forget which one is first. So I'm like, let me start watching these again. I forget, like, just because there's no like 1, 2, and 3. It's just like the names. I'm like, which one? I don't want to bother with that, and I just give up. And then watch Community again for the millionth time.
Yeah.
We can memorize Dragon Ball Z movie numbers like nobody's business, but then
that's all
man,
top of my
James
head.
Bond. What?
Movie 7 was my first.
Yeah. And what else is this here, Ken? You're biding time until something.
Yeah, I'm not playing like anything right now. So I beat Metroid Prime, 10 out of 10, 11
Congrats.
out of 10 game. Yeah.
Nice.
But I'm not starting anything new right now, because I don't want to get deep into any game, because Breath of the Wild 2 is about to come out. Or Tears of the Kingdom, as the kids are calling it these days.
The kids.
Yeah.
You mean Nintendo?
I've been avoiding trailers for a while. There's no avoiding like people talking about the trailers, but seeing it versus hearing about it is different. So
because you said that in our group chat, I saw you said that as like, this is one reason why you shouldn't watch the trailers. That got me thinking in my head, I don't want to see trailers either. So I took your advice and didn't, even though I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, I did not watch it either, because I'm like, well, I already pre-ordered it and I'm already excited. They've already got me.
I was waiting for like a good pre-order item to come out to buy it, and then Walmart released like this gold scroll, but like I was like 20 minutes too late. As soon as I found out about it, already sold out. They only made like 5,000 of them. That must have been gone in like a second if it was worldwide, not per store or something. But I don't know. But then they released like the black scroll, which I'll get that, but it'll be a constant reminder if I haven't hung up that I missed the gold variant, but
Right.
pick your battles. It's either that or that lame looking wooden thing from GameStop. No offense to those who got that. It's just not my style.
Even though Doug is putting you on blast. He thinks that you're
Exactly.
lame.
Yes. Displays everything.
Yeah. So before I talked about my excitement for... Yeah. I talked about my excitement for Resident Evil 4 Remake, and I had beaten it once, and then over the course of like a week and a half, I beat it a second time, and then a day later, I beat it a third time.
Nice.
I love it.
Of course
and I had
would.
unlocked some great weapons. So I was like, well, let's see how fast I can get through this. So
Yeah, once you get the hand cannon, it's move through pretty quickly.
infinite ammo hand cannon, and then halfway through infinite ammo rocket launcher. So
wow.
Nice.
And I also had the infinite durability knife, so it was good.
Dang.
It was good
If I was
times.
wearing a bandana, I would point at it and look at the
Infinite
camera
ammo.
and say, "Infinite."
Our audio listeners don't know.
Snake.
Just you can do that still.
Yeah, exactly. I've been rewatching Dragon Ball Super just for fun. It's in the rearview mirror. I'm no longer looking forward to every episode. Like, what new cool thing is going to happen? Or, I hope this badass thing happens. Or it's not a crap episode. Now I can just be like, well, just rewatch and see how it is on an episode-to-episode basis. And I'm having fun. I started the Resurrection F stuff this morning. I can't remember.
I was about to explain to the listeners that I was shaking my head, but I realized they probably are too.
I almost did a spit take. I took a sip of my drink and then almost spit take when you said I'm rewatching Dragon Ball Super. I'm like, oh my god.
I mean,
Why?
come on. It's just an anime.
God, it's like
you
you're a
can't
Dragon
just
Ball fan or something. Jesus, get out of here.
I know, it's disgusting.
You don't just get on here
if it makes
to
you
rant
feel
about it.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I picked up the Japanese language Sonic X anime from Discotek, and I've been watching that.
Oh.
If that's any better, it's roughly the same
To me, this goes
quality, I
right over
suppose,
my
as
head.
Super.
What is the Sonic X one? Is that the one where he's like long legs and there's like a Kingdom Hearts Sora character that's the main character?
Yeah, the Sora. Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yes.
that's
Gotcha.
it. Yeah.
Randy's
Yeah,
gonna be like, "What are you
so-
talking about?" But Ken's like, "I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about."
I didn't know
looks
the
like
long
Sora.
legs, but the Sora kid, yeah, for sure.
So he's not a tall. He's classic Sonic, or is he new Sonic?
No, he's adventure style Sonic. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This aired in 2003 and was actually the first thing I ever torrented. Like, I was getting these episodes on a weekly
Allegedly.
basis.
Please.
Allegedly.
Hey,
Allegedly.
you're finally paying for it then. All right.
I mean, I bought the English language one 2 years ago when they put that out, and I'm like, I never watched this.
Right. So you bought the Japanese one because of the guilt. I gotcha. I'm on the same page.
No, because I actually wanted to watch it, because when I was allegedly obtaining it, somebody was subtitling up to episode 4, and then after that, nothing. So then I just watched it raw.
Right.
I'm like, well, I love Sonic. I gotta watch this, even though I don't understand what anybody's saying.
Was the Sonic voice actor anyone familiar that you'd recognize from other anime?
Junichi Kanemaru, who's just been being Sonic in Japan since
okay.
the old days. So
Cool.
it's just him. So it's a good time, and it's fun to finally watch it and understand what people are saying, even though it was very easy to understand what's going on. It's like,
Kid
okay,
show. You do the same with Dragon Ball at a certain point.
exactly. Anyway,
Yeah. Speaking of Dragon Ball,
speaking of Dragon Ball,
I gotcha.
and episodes, we're doing a fun episode here, which we've done before, which is we talk about kind of our go-to episodes of the anime that when we feel the need to watch something, we'll put on this episode. It's something that we like. I had said episode 120 of Z, which is where Trunks shows up and kicks Frieza's butt. Doug, you had said that it's the episode where Vegeta beats the crap out of Raccoon.
Yes. Yep.
And now that Ken is here, it only felt right that he gets to say his episode of his go-tos. So we're doing, which one is it, Ken?
This is Dragon Ball Z, episode 179. Lose or die, Goku, a secret turnabout plan.
Ooh. And so people know what happens in this, when is this episode, 179?
This is Goku versus Cell, and then Goku does his teleportation Kamehameha that he gets in all the video games, and hell yeah, dude.
Everyone loves it for
yeah.
yeah, right dab in the middle of the Cell games, just like the meat of the action, the AMV creator's dream episode.
Yeah. Yeah, Doug, as I was rewatching the episode today, and I was thinking, like, I gotta ask Doug, like, how bad do AMV artists like pull from this episode?
It is every fight scene in this episode has. I can point to you an AMV that has used it, including my own. It is that good looking.
Yeah, it's that, but there's also a rhythm to the fighting.
That is the thing.
It almost feels musical watching.
It does, doesn't it, though? Like, I've never been so engaged watching 5 black lines go through the screen, like, in, like, a pattern with, like, smoke appearing out. Like, beautiful episode. Beautiful.
Right? Really gripping. I can see why it's a go-to for Ken. So, giving some background info, some basic info here. This episode aired March 31st, 1993, and we found that the most recent manga chapter, which went on sale March 30th, is Chapter 416, Kamehameha versus Kamehameha, a final showdown, which is when Cell actually dies. So this is running it pretty close.
It's gotta be wild to, like, grow up in Japan as a kid and, like, reading the manga and watching the anime at the same time. Like, what? I wonder what that must have been like, you know? That's a perspective we'll never get.
I looked it up to see when these chapters of the manga, episode 400 and 401, 400 being defeat or death, and 401 being a full power Kamehameha, and when those came out, just to see, like, okay, how much time between air and these come out. So 401 was December 1st, 1992, so it was basically just like 4 months away. You had the anime adaptation of that chapter.
That's so crazy, because when you think about, like, One Piece, where One Piece is at, they are still like half a year or more behind where the manga is. I mean, I think they're still in Wano in the anime, and the manga has been out of Wano for quite a while now.
Wow.
So they gave themselves a lot of time to breathe, basically, which is good. The manga, well, I was going to say the manga artist doesn't have to rush, but I'm sure they feel rushed regardless because they're not thinking about the anime anyway, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But for the anime team, like, you know, you've got to be coming up with what are we going to do?
Yeah.
You know, since we're running out of stuff to adapt. So, I mean, that's why right after this, I suppose we've got the Afterlife tournament because they're running way
I was
too
going to
close.
say, speaking of filler, like, this episode does have some egregious padding in it, like cutting to ZTV for like a minute. It feels like hanging on the billboard on like the sign of ZTV on top of the building, just like panning through it for like 30 seconds. I'm like, okay, there's action we want to get back to, and then it cuts another 30 seconds or a minute of just like some dude talking on the TV with Karens that are like, why is there only smoke on the TV? What are you guys doing over there?
As usual, Doug, that's the stuff I like.
That's the stuff you like.
Because I like to see what's going on. Like, what is the average Joe in the dragon world? How is he reacting to this?
Yes. No, I do too, but I'm just saying this is egregious, like how long they hold on it. That's the only problem. I do like that, but it's just a little too long.
Also beautifully drawn that I could just look at whatever they opted to show me and I'll be like,
just two dudes on the phone, like just talking. I was just mesmerized by how good they look. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Speaking of visuals, it's a great thing to jump onto. Animation supervisor for this episode is Keisuke Masunaga. Other key animators, this is all Studio Cockpit stuff. So Keisuke Masunaga, Yoshihiko Umakoshi, Tatsufumi Tamamura, Isao Sugimoto, Hideyoshi Takahashi, and Masaaki Iwane. And we said before, chapters 400 and 401 for the manga. And just to make sure everybody's on the same page, we've got an episode synopsis here, and there's a threat, I think, from Ken written here of how we need to read it, and I feel like he is the one that should do it, because I think he's probably the most qualified.
For context, the threat I wrote in here is, read this like Kyle Hebert's narrator voice, or you're a coward.
Let's hear it, Ken. Let's hear you not be a coward.
An even battle unfolds as Goku and Cell battle at full power. Satan and company are puzzled as the two move too fast to be seen. Saying that the out-of-bounds loss rule is already meaningless, Cell blows the arena away. A tremendous battle then begins, with the land itself as their arena. And then, as it looks as if Goku is going to fire a full-power Kamehameha at the Earth, he teleports right in front of Cell. The Kamehameha lands a direct hit on Cell.
Oh, shit!
You're so good at that. What the hell?
Thank you.
Just got that in your back pocket just for this certain occasion.
One of my friends. So when I watched this episode, I watched it last night. I watched it dubbed. And we'll get into why I did that. And then tonight I watched it before recording. I watched it in Japanese. And one of my friends, my best friend, he watched this episode so many times, like I did, and he could recite the entire Kyle Bear recap of the previous episode from this one, and he can still do it from heart.
Oh my god!
Why
is
are
that
you
because
on
like the
show?
episode
Go get
wouldn't
him.
load all the way,
Yeah.
and it just like all he would listen to is that intro, and that's it.
I don't know why he learned it, but he did. It's a party trick.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll be at that party.
Ken, I want to ask as an overview, because some of us, I assume, I'm not sure if Doug took notes. Some of us took notes about the episode that we could talk about from beginnings. Doug's got it all in his mind.
I'm doing the cell, putting to my nucleus.
That's
all
true.
here,
right in your mind palace, where you keep all of your thoughts.
And we can talk about that nucleus a little bit at the end of this.
That's true. We'll go through and we'll talk about it blow by blow. But as an overview, Ken, why is this your go-to episode?
So I'm just going to put a blanket allegedly on everything I'm about to say.
Sure, allegedly.
Yeah, but for the longest time, back in the day when you had 56K modem, all right, you could only download so much anime. And the anime that you did have, allegedly, you cherished each episode you had. And this was like one of the only full Dragon Ball Z episodes that I had downloaded. And so, of course, I watched it and watched it and I watched it and I watched it. And what an episode
a good one
to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And so, Doug, it's like you're saying I made anime music videos from this episode. And it's because, Windows Movie Maker and importing this. And
it makes itself. This episode really just does. You
Yeah,
just
it
you can put a
really-
whole 30-minute song onto this thing and it's perfect.
Yeah, and it's like right from the go, when it shows you what the last episode was, it was a Last House Uchiyama Poop Fest.
Yes.
And then you come in and Studio Cockpit on only their second episode in the franchise.
Really?
Their first action episode of the franchise. The first one was episode 174, the Tao Pai Pai one.
Oh,
Where
now that
Goku
you
has
mention
to
it.
figure out like the metal puzzle.
Yeah.
And then, but this was like their first like Dragon Ball Z episode.
It really has a
And-
look to it too. Like it's very distinct. Like you could point
It
this
does.
out because they also do like the episode with the two Kamehamehas against each other, right? With Cell and Gohan. They do one of those because it looks very
they
similar.
do. Yeah, they do the first of the Afterlife tournament episodes, so we get to see them do Frieza and all the Ginyu Force,
I used
which is
to
great.
love that. Before I even thought about
Yeah.
who drew this episode, whatever. I just remember loving those looks of those episodes.
Also, Super Saiyan 2 and 3 Goku versus Kid Buu. That's another one that sticks in my
That's-
head. Of,
me too.
of
I
it
think,
being
I think
really
that's
good.
the last one they did.
Because I
That
don't
one
think
blew
they
my
came back for
mind.
GT.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that sucks about Studio Cockpit is that this is the only series they're on. They're not on the original Dragon Ball. They come in after halfway through Dragon Ball Z, and then they're gone. They never come back.
That's
Yeah.
why we cherish what we have with them, and it does really stand out, and it's beautiful.
Exactly.
So I would like to bring to attention myself.
Yes.
From September 18th, 2004,
Oh, here
on
we
the
go.
then Daizenshu EX forums.
Oh, boy.
You
I
have
wrote up
notes,
a whole
receipts.
I wrote up like a whole kind of at the time, right? I was 16, so this was very pedestrian of how I was going through talking about the different Dragon Ball Z animators, and I was implying a sort of ranking of how I thought that how good they were because
Sure.
the guy who is Ebisawa I described as triangle crap, and I may have coined that term.
Right.
I'm not
Is
sure.
it you that did? You might have.
I don't know.
You look at the receipts, Google triangle crap,
It could
and
be there.
figure it out.
Yes.
but
I believe it.
so he was at the bottom, right? But at the top, I had super amazingly detailed, but not really Toriyama, and then parentheses, i.e., when Cell destroys the ring against Goku, Super Gotenks versus Gohan. Super Gotenks Buu versus Gohan. PyCon, that's how I wrote it then.
Sure,
and
that's
Goku versus Cell, Frieza, and Ginyu Force. So implying that this was my favorite then. And I'm proud to say that, God, how old am I? 18, 17, so many years later of how old I am. It's still my favorite art style in Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. I see that totally.
It's extremely expressive.
It really is.
I think I'm on the same page I never really thought about who my favorite one was. I just know my least favorite was Last House, but I had never thought about my favorite. This might be up there.
This is the only studio that when the episode ends and it's showing you the art from the next episode, you look at a Segasha episode and you go, well, that's a step down.
which is saying something because Segasha is pretty good. I like it.
Yeah.
Shimanuki was good back then.
Yeah.
Hisata's faces are kind of small and too bubbly. Hisata's too bubbly for me. Bubbly muscles and...
Okay, well, different taste, because I was like, oh, you know what? We're going to have another good-looking episode. It's not Cockpit, but it's pretty good. So I'm just going to say it, Masaki Sato is my favorite. But anyway, moving on. My notes here, which first one was last time has some Last House, which looks really bad when we just suddenly switched to Cockpit.
I'm glad you latched onto that too, yeah.
It's kind of how we go, because 120, which was mine, the next episode was Last House. So if you're watching it in like marathon order, yeesh.
I love when it happens when it's this way, when it's Last House and then a different studio instead of the other way around, where it's a good studio then Last House. Like, oh,
right.
crap.
Last House is weird because they kept pace during Dragon Ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then it was just like a steep decline through Dragon Ball Z as Toriyama's art style went a different way and the character designer went a different way. And then by the time we get to GT, you're just like, oh God, let it end.
Yes, that's so bad. And it got to the point where I actually took notice. Like I said, I'm not very perceptive, but I took notice, like, oh, every 3 episodes, it's going to go back to Last House. So I knew, oh, good episode, good episode, good episode. Oh, and then Last House. And it's just, I was always dreading getting to that 3rd episode or 4th episode. But I was going to say, I love doing these like little in-depth, like per episode type stuff, because it really makes me focus on the episode and like just kind of munch on that, because then I can really like look at the story, what story is trying to be told in this 20-minute episode, like what's happening in this. And like it really is about speed, how fast Goku and Cell are, and it's just showing you, it's not really there to show you a great battle, it's just to show the speed, you know what I mean?
Right. I mean, my next note is the speed of this fight is insane in the best way possible. This is probably the best depiction of the speed of these fights in the series to date. Like, just quick punches flying at each other. Like, we've seen
as a kid,
before
you're just kind of you're binging it, and then you're just like seeing like the punch, and you're like, okay, whatever, let's keep going. But when you're just focusing on this, you really appreciate the punch, because it's just showing you how fast everyone is.
Right. And that's juxtaposed with, these characters seeing this fight, and then we have Mr. Satan and crew, and there's like, there's nothing happening. Where did these guys go?
Anything.
The cameraman can't track him, and then Roshi's back at his house being like, what am I watching? I'm going back to aerobics.
There we go.
Well, it's great when Cell blows up the stage, because it's also like he's just playing with Goku. Like he could have just blown it up without saying anything, but he's like, hey, I think we should spread out this battle a little bit. And then Goku catches on and tells everyone, like, get away. Like, it's such a cool... Cell is such an awesome villain, I feel like a cool villain. You know what I mean? I love that character. And as soon as he blows up the stage, and they do a great job of showing that the whole world is their terrain now, because the first thing Cell does is fire a bunch of ki blasts at Goku that Goku has to evade and, like, dashes, like, 2 miles in the other direction to do. And then it cuts back to the cameraman having to, like, they're telling the cameraman, go forward a little more, like, it's gonna make a difference, go forward a little more, like, showing you that he has to move to get more of the landscape. It's great.
I think we're all pretty nostalgic about the dub and the dub experience, but, those performances are difficult to go back to. They're just, we're different people now, and they were different people then. But, dude, Damian Clark's Cell was great, still is great. It's a performance that stands the test of time. I mean, he was great in Kai too, but like to go back to this, something from like Funimation in their darkest days, let's say, and Damian Clark is still this like bright spot in it. Like, that was a big reason why I wanted to go back and rewatch it dubbed.
I hold Damian Clark and Wakamoto on even grounds with those. Like, I love both their voices as Cell. It's great.
I wanted to say to Doug, when you were talking about how much you like Cell as a villain, I had said that I never really thought about how Perfect Cell is kind of Goku's perfect nemesis at this point here, because they're both like trying to pursue strength and like they want to find somebody that they can really push their all.
That's
so they're
true.
They're kind of on the same level there, other than, Cell is a callous asshole who will murder people. But,
right.
Granted, like, Vegeta is, of course, a great rival, and Piccolo, and setting that aside, the most selfish parts of Goku definitely made it through this science experiment.
Part of him
Cell
bled through to Cell. Exactly, yeah. Man, yeah. And there's one shot in this episode, like one shot specifically, that I don't think looks like Studio Cockpit. Like, it's of Cell as he's talking to Goku where they're in the sky, and it just, like, it looks perfect. Like it comes back to Goku and then not so much, but then it's that one shot of Cell. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. Kind of halfway through,
Yeah,
it's
I
like
do.
a perfect. Like that's a profile picture. Put it on Tinder, Cell. You get all the matches, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it looks like a marketing shot that they would have used on print.
Yes. It's tilted to the side a little bit. It's not just a forward shot. His head's tilted a little. Well, the sky. He's in the sky, so it's tilted. Yeah, fantastic.
There was a little part to break up the action of this episode that I thought I liked, and I forget like these tiny little things happen, which is Dende standing on the lookout with the stick and like looking down, and Popo points out like Kami used to stand there and watch over things too, and I'm like, aw, that's super cute. Dende's, coming into this role and just like naturally doing things that have happened before, and then Popo is talking him through like, okay, I know you're far away, but like here's how you're gonna sense these things out. And
I love that.
Popo is such a supportive, cool dude.
And just the visual of showing. Oh no, go ahead.
I love the way Popo's like he relates it for the audience in like terms that we can understand. He's like, it's like separating quiet sounds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my god, it's so.
He's
good.
teaching a kid and us, like putting in a way we can understand. I love the visual representation of the staff too, because it's humongous. They do it on purpose. They make it look humongous to him just to know he has big shoes to fill, but he's still there.
Like, just it's those little things. Like, you guys did good here. Like, just to fill the time here. Like,
I was gonna use that done. Like what Dende says, like as a tagline. I think the last thing he says before it cuts away is like, "Goku's fighting. It's an incredible battle." And then it cuts off. Like, that's the tagline for this episode, basically.
There's a couple parts where they use some bank shots that they make for this, so they reuse a couple shots, but the way they reuse the shot is it happens and then it goes into something else that they haven't done yet. Like those are like
so it doesn't feel too repeated.
Turning as he goes forward. Yeah, and so it's like those are there, and I recognize them. I really caught on to them tonight versus second time through catching on to that, and it's just such a masterful episode that it
doesn't feel lazy. It feels efficient.
There's a great tweet from Herms when he was going through and rewatching the whole series and going back over little tidbits and everything, and he said this episode is the way that you remember all of Dragon Ball Z being.
Yes.
Yep. Definitely.
1,000%.
It's never been so cool to see just like a punch and a miss because of teleportation, like a chung chung chung, like all that just looks so satisfying. I could see that all day.
Yeah, that's the word for this episode, satisfying. Every punch, every like landing, every time they change the frame timing to slow down. There's so much slow-mo in this episode.
Yeah. Dude, Goku kneeing Cell in the belly, like in like getting a good meat of him, like it's so good. And just like Goku like traversing through the Cell game stadium, like he's like with using his hands like to like push off of it and like teleport away. Those are such cool shots.
And the part when he jumps up into the air to start charging his Kamehameha, and he flies up there, and then they like tilt the background. The background's like rotating around him. And it's like, it's just filled with all these tiny little touches. Yeah, I'd go on all day about how much I love it.
Right.
Another moment like that I forget is when Cell does blow up the arena and everybody needs to get away. Obviously, we got chumps like Satan and Karoo that are like not going to pick up on this or like what's actually going to happen. And 16 comes in and saves all these normies. And it's like, oh, what a good guy. Like, he realized these are human lives and I should save them. They're not Goku, who I want to murder. But, like, he
just for the cementing, he just has one-track mind. But it's so great. 16 is like,
you need to leave.
Yeah, 16's like, go home, you're useless here, which is such irony when it's like, oh no, Satan at least can throw my head to Gohan when the time comes. It's because of Satan.
It had been a while since I heard 16 in Japanese, and to me that voice is the specifically the Kai performance. That's what like the Kai dub performance is what's in my mind. And so hearing him in Japanese is like, whoa,
why are you talking so normally?
Shock.
Why are you
sound like a normal guy?
I'm trying to remember who voices 16. Is it in the dub? Is it the same guy in Z as it is Kai, or
I think it's the same. He's just doing more of a talking like this.
I'm a robot.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But so I watched it dubbed yesterday, and have you guys ever done the thing where you watch something dubbed but you turn the Japanese subtitles on?
Oh yeah.
Yes, for
sure.
Yeah.
There is like you really don't understand how much extra dialogue Funimation threw in there until you watch a dubbed episode of Dragon Ball Z with the Japanese subtitles on. Because
and
it's
notice there's no subtitles happening while the Japanese English cast is talking. Yeah, it's so funny. Every time they cut away from to someone else, there's always someone talking off camera. That's the thing they do.
Yeah, in Japanese, in the previous episode recap, it takes like a minute before Joji Yanami starts talking, but then Kyle Hebert's like right away. Well, last time on Dragon Ball Z, and it's.
I mean, that was the thing for back then, was the thought that if there isn't somebody talking and something happening, children will tune out and change the channel and do something else. And I think over time, through a bunch of shows trying different things, that have kind of proved that, like, American audiences, young boys, they don't have that problem with attention span, and they can't, like, if it's something that's engaging, even if nobody's talking, like, I still want to watch it.
This might be a subject for. Yeah, this might be another subject for another. Yeah,
is still short, but like. I think kids in Japan trust the source. Like, no, we like this show, so I'm going to keep watching even though there is silence, whereas the American company didn't trust that.
I don't know if you guys remember this, but around the time, I think it was a couple years younger than we were, there was like a big like ADD, ADHD scare.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like all of a sudden they were like giving Ritalin to all these kids that maybe didn't quite need it. And so maybe that factors into how they were dubbing Dragon Ball Z. They're like, well, these kids are all jacked up on Ritalin.
Gotta do something.
That's a subject for another episode or maybe a whole nother podcast.
A whole other podcast entirely. But yeah, no, Dragon Ball Z is very much Funimation's experiment baby. And they found, this works. Let's keep doing it. So I assume that's how it worked, but yeah.
I have a jab against audiences, speaking of like doing things like that for that, which was in the show, everybody is pissed that their TV isn't working right, that they can't see this fight. I said, is this a reference to normies when they see 90s anime in 4:3 on their 16:9 TVs? Because, I mean, Dragon Ball's had a troubled past and other things of like, well, let's just crop it to 16:9 because that's what everybody wants, is to fill their widescreen TVs now, and don't understand that that's not the shape of things when we produced stuff in the 90s and beforehand.
People still don't understand that.
In my heart of hearts, I don't think these people exist. I think they're someone we've just invented.
I don't know. I'm trying to remember.
You'd be surprised, dude.
Was this a story I heard, or was this a memory I have of being in a Best Buy and seeing somebody bring in a copy of one of the Dragon boxes? This would have been 2009, 2010, and complaining at the return counter, like, it just plays in Japanese and I want it in English. I wanted to watch the show in English. It's like, yeah, because it defaults to Japanese, but like, have you never done anything other than hit play movie on a DVD before? Like, go to setup, go to like, it's right there, man. But I mean,
it is surprising how many people out there exist that just don't grasp the concept of that. Is they're just stupid. There's a lot of surprising.
Checking the back of the box,
how many if you're people like, out there are stupid.
Yeah, it's like on the box it says like, yeah, here's the languages that are available. Not English is there. Then you poke around.
Stupid might be a little harsh. Ignorant sounds bad, but it's not really a bad word. It's just something you don't understand something, or you're just not privy to the facts. It's just that. I've been ignorant plenty of times in my life. Before I researched, I thought it was like, why would I not want my Pokemon show to go all the way? Or like, no, I was on the Game Boy Advance. You could like hit the L button and it'd go from like the actual aspect ratio to the wide aspect ratio, the Game Boy Advance. I was like, why wouldn't I want it filling up the whole screen? Then you realize, it stretches, doesn't look good for shows. For games, doesn't really matter that much, but at that time. But yeah, we're all ignorant at some point until we learn. Some people just choose not to learn.
Jumping back to actually talking about the show, like I brought up before. Well, I mean, this is just a little tangent, Ken. It's okay.
Yeah.
But, I brought up before that I'm watching Dragon Ball Super, and that was made in 2015. And this show, obviously,
like a year
made
ago,
before that. This is 93. And it's so nice to hear Joji Yanami's Kaio being so lively and animated. And like, man, it bums me out. The time comes for us all. I mean, he didn't leave the show because he passed away. He didn't feel good to do the show anymore. But, he did pass a couple of years ago, which is super sad. But I don't know. Just going back and forth watching them simultaneously, like, oh, man. I miss when people were young and alive.
Yeah, I mean, hearing Satan, hearing Roshi, all of these actors who've passed, yeah.
Right.
Oh my god,
I think it just
Satan
stuck to me for Yanami.
Huge in these episodes.
Yeah.
In this episode, he's like compared to the what is it? Jimmy Firecracker and no, that's the tournament stage. This just the audio guy. What's his name in the thing? Is it Jimmy Firecracker?
Just ZTV announcer. In Japanese, that's a dub fabrication. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what I'm talking about, and then the pizza, the girl, the woman, like they're so tiny compared to this like monster of Mr. Satan. Then cut to the Boo Saga, where Satan is just like this tiny little frail regular man.
Now he's a joke character. He's drawn like a joke character.
It's so great how it switches like that.
I had a note here that was something that I believe Kaio says while he's watching this fight, and says, if Cell is a monster, then Son Goku is also a monster. Just like from their fight line. And like how I'm like, yeah, damn, like you trained him, man. You made him into this. You could.
I guess a more apropos word is beast. Like what a beast. If Cell is a crazy beast, then so is Goku.
Dude, you're about to spawn like a whole bunch of theory videos about Gohan Beast and how that ties back into this. And...
Goku watched that fight. He's like, yeah, I can do that.
So now we're moving into the big stuff happening of Goku, like Ken had explained before, flying up into the air and starts charging a super Kamehameha, and Cell being like, what is he doing? Like,
what is he doing?
He's shooting the Earth. There's no way he'd do that. And Kudin being the same, like, I don't know what he's doing because he would hit the Earth. Just back to Cell, I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's actually going to do it.
Shimata!
And of course, he uses his instantaneous movement to zap down right next to him and blast his top off, which is great. And I have a note here that for Goku using instantaneous movement without putting his hands to his forehead to move, would it be nice if we had seen him do it without that before, or would it have ruined the surprise?
No, I really love this because it really brings everything back. It's kind of a genius way to remind us that he has that move in his arsenal for when he uses it to teleport Cell away before he explodes. Because it is a move he doesn't really use too much. I remember him using it when he first introduces it when he comes with Trunks. Not really, just to
he
get
did it to go get Dende and stuff like that.
Yeah, just to get from place to place, but it's just like a little reminder that he has that move, so that it doesn't come too much out of left field when he uses it 10 episodes later. Just the fact that he doesn't have to use his fingers to do that. It's just he just does that when the energy is locating as far away. It's more like the finger is not a necessity. It's more like it helps him personally concentrate. So then, like it's so because Cell is just right below him, he can see him. He doesn't need to concentrate too hard. It's just like I need to go there to hit that energy, to that beast. It's genius.
That makes sense.
There are later times in the Super manga where teleportation is just being used mid-fight, and there's no fingers on the forehead or anything.
No, but I think he does. I think he doesn't, like to Beerus, I think he doesn't. And I said before, like in our review, I didn't like that. I'm like, no, he doesn't need to. That's just, that is just to signify to us as the viewer that he's using instantaneous movement as opposed to just being really fast. But I could do without it.
I was talking about granola stuff. Stuff you haven't gotten to yet, dog.
Same, agreed.
But I assume you guys think instantaneous movement Kamehameha is pretty hype shit. I would.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I always got that equipped when I'm playing Budokai 3.
Yeah, it's so satisfying.
It super is. It's such a great move and a good thought to like combine these two things. To surprise your opponent.
Makes Goku like really seem like a competent person. You know, like he is a genius fighter in that aspect. He knows he knows how to combine. Yeah, I don't know. Just seeing Cell just like about to be like, God damn it, like he's about to blast him. Shit. It's so great.
And totally destroyed that nucleus in his head.
Yeah, that nucleus that's only in his head. That's not because the Japanese point to their head as meaning their entire body.
Cell is a notoriously unreliable narrator, and if we ever do a Cell character breakdown, we can talk about how Cell has no idea how his body works.
He didn't come with an instruction manual.
Yeah, he's just a teenager at heart. Actually, how old is he? He might be a teenager.
I don't know. He was there for a few years as a
larva.
Insect. As a larva, and then who knows how long he was looking for 17 and 18 in the future. Somebody does. I don't, but that's me. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have an instruction manual. Who knows? Does he even really need 17 and 18? Did he just be like, I want to eat some teenagers? I don't know. And it just works out.
I just needed a brother-sister duo.
Yeah, it's a great episode. And I had one other note here. Wait, there's a goddess of victory in Dragon Ball? Where is she in the hierarchy?
Oh, you did catch that.
And...
So my intro was not completely washed over you. You got exactly what I was going for. Great.
I did.
Love it. As soon as I read that, it's like, because I think the next line is just, the subtitles are just like, or is she? And I'm like, wait, what is they referring to? I had to rewind it a bit. Like, oh, the goddess of victory.
It's good. Ken, I think you picked a great go-to episode, and I think this enters my rotation.
This is not my favorite. This doesn't contain any of my favorite moments in the series, but just as a whole of what an episode of Dragon Ball Z could and should be, this is my favorite episode of the series.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's why I like the Raccoon Vegeta fight as well. Like, it just looks so dang pretty, and it's just so full of life. It's what you think of when you think of Dragon Ball Z fights. It's awesome.
It's true. It's so good. I don't think I have anything to say of like what I disliked about it, other than I guess, like Ken had pointed, or that Doug had pointed out, that there are long shots of like just looking at the ZTV logo on the building, like, we gotta fill some time.
Go in the building and show the people talking. Yeah, it's just a little. Yeah, it breaks it up a little too much, where you just want to like get back to the action because it's so beautiful.
That's the beauty of the DVD, though. You just watch the next episode, just keep going or fast forward.
Man, something about that one scene of Goku, like, kind of Sonic the Hedgehogging towards Cell, in like kind of going towards the camera, but also going towards Cell. Like, that's I don't know what he's doing there, but it looks amazing.
Just spinning,
and I will use it for every AMV I ever do from the end of time. It's so great. They got to make a figure of that.
He had to work it in an episode somewhere, people. Just let him have this thing about figures. Anything else you want to say about it before we take a little break?
No, I mean, Studio Cockpit is the best for the whole series.
Love it.
Awesome. Well, then we are going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with your guys' thoughts on this episode and your go-to episodes. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and we are going to hear what you guys had to say about your favorite go-to episode, or this episode in general. Ken, did you get one out of your quote tweet? Because you gotta take the attention somewhere else. Can't be the real tweet. It's got to be all about you.
Well, we got Scott
Wait
at Thunder Power.
I don't like that, Randy. Jesus.
No defense. Go for it.
Is this the episode with near perfect animation heart eyes emoji? Because I know the episodes in this fight vary in quality. But yes, it is. And heart eyes emoji, indeed.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well worth the heart eyes, because it's great. Doug, why don't you take this one from Jake Pay?
Jake Pay says, my favorite episode is when Gohan turns into a great ape for the first time. It's the first episode I remember ever seeing, and then Piccolo blows up the moon. So, fun time. Yeah.
What a way to start.
Is that the episode? That wasn't filler, right? When is the one where he finds Goku's space pod that is showing a picture of a moon? Oh, that's not even real. So that's not even the same episode he's talking about.
That's not the same episode. It's later on in the same arc.
Right. It's completely filler. Yeah. I get that. But I really feel being like, having nostalgic for like the first episode you ever saw. I think mine is the episode where Bulma and the crew are in space and they run into like a bandit of children that are running their own spaceship. It's really weird. So I'm always nostalgic for that.
Picking your first one where somebody blows up the moon is a pretty good choice.
That's
like good time to jump in.
Like, wow, what context is there?
Yeah. People turn into monkeys. Guys are blowing up the moon. What is this show?
My kind of show.
I'll take this one from Bata Og at Genryusei Rider. Probably one of the main episodes I remember watching just to check out how it differed from the manga, which was my primary material for Dragon Ball back in 2009, 2010. I remember being impressed at the animation for what it was and loving the Kikuchi score. Yeah, man. Kikuchi's where it's at.
A lot of music from movie 6 in this episode. Oh, gosh.
That bad movie?
What a great reference to a great movie.
Whatever. I do remember. Yeah, we didn't talk about the music at all. The music was great. That like beginning shot as they're fighting, like dun 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 dun. Like, love that tune. Every time I hear it,
it is.
I did discover that when I watched this episode dubbed, I don't like the dub set to Kikuchi.
It's weird.
It's weird.
There's a weird energy difference between them where it's like,
yeah.
I don't think they dubbed this knowing what Falconer was going to produce, so it's just kind of like, I don't know.
It could just be nostalgia for us that we just don't that doesn't match. That's why it just feels weird. Probably not bad. It just feels weird to us.
Kikuchi is like beyond and above Falconer. I would never even put the same two in the same. One is creating music, and the other one's just like, brr, you know. But that fits the dub.
Right. It really does. But again, I don't know if that's just our nostalgia talking, where it's just like, no, yeah, that goes with that, so it feels right. Even though we don't think it's good, it feels right.
Yeah, man. It really sets the tone for the show, going with the Kikuchi score. Anyway, that's how I feel. Ken, you've got this one from Scott.
Scott again?
Scott's back.
At Thunder Power, too many choices. But when Kid Goku shows up to save Tien from Drum and starts the King Piccolo fight in episode 119, and then he posts that like super badass picture where it's just like, it's almost adult Goku in Kid Goku's body.
Yeah.
Like you squaring off against Piccolo.
Matureness of them. They have a figure of that. It's the History Box figure line that came out just a few months ago. I got to get that.
People familiar with this shot of Goku will know that in the manga they forgot to draw, Toriyama forgot to draw Ten Shinhan's feet, and so it's they drew that in.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure. Let me know if I'm wrong.
Busted out roast Ken.
Fun trivia.
Yeah.
And then I'll take this one from Jacob Sawyer. Says, my favorite is episode 31 of Z. It's the moment when I knew I loved the show. Especially this part. Always gives me chills. I love this fight. And then it's a screenshot of Goku doing the Kaioken x4 Kamehameha against Vegeta when he's on Earth for that first time. Man. Yeah, I taped that one. Because I was gone at church that day. Then I came back and I'm like,
dude. Randy, don't get me started on church and the Saiyan saga, okay? Because we want to talk about why maybe I am the way I am today is because I missed a bunch of important Goku vs. Vegeta episodes because I was at vacation Bible school.
Way.
Oh, see, I was at confirmation because that was on Wednesdays. So this episode, I think, aired on a Wednesday. So I was like, I taped it. And man, I came home, I watched that episode like multiple times in a row because it kicks so much ass.
Dragon Ball Z and church don't mix.
They don't. Don't go to church and watch Dragon Ball Z.
Not that they're just Super Saiyan God, maybe, but there's an argument to be made there.
So we don't have trivia this episode, except for Ken claims to have an episode or a piece of trivia for us.
So, which studio cockpit key animator from this episode also worked on the, and when I say Broly movie, I mean Super, and which cut is it presumed that they produced?
Oh.
Doug, do you want to take a stab at which animator?
I just remember somebody saying those words that Ken said, but nothing after that. Like, I remember like, oh, this artist might have been this artist. I don't know they're referring to this artist, though. That's great. I don't know what the screenshot is, though.
I will say my guess for the animator is Masaaki Iwane being in Dragon Ball Super Broly.
Well, maybe they were, but I'm talking about Yoshihiko Umakoshi.
Okay, sorry. Well, I was just giving a guess. You can just tell me you're wrong, Randy. That's also
you might be right. I just kind of like got this one stopped there. So
you didn't even do the teacher like, oh, almost, but not really, and then actual answer. Like,
no,
yeah, close.
But it's believed that Umakoshi did that sick, like as Gogeta like squares into place, then he's prepping that Kamehameha and firing it off against Broly.
Oh,
that is a studio cockpit contributor.
That does have the same vibe to it.
I don't think Umakoshi did very much stuff with cockpit when I was looking at the Kanzenshu animation guide.
Gotcha.
A few episodes.
It does look similar now that you mention it.
Umakoshi's also the character designer for the My Hero Academia anime. Fun fact.
Right. Oh. I was going to say, that's what I thought. I was like, I thought that was a My Hero dude. But like, okay, same person. Gotcha.
Unless this is like a Kenji Yamamoto or one was a plagiarist and the other one did the Super Metroid soundtrack. I don't know.
There's also like two different famous Koji Kondos. One of them who did, Mario and Star Fox music. And
the other one's a war criminal.
I have another bit here. It's not trivia, but it's from our Spotify Interact thing, and I'm going to throw this out here. So I said it last episode, and I'm going to bring it up again. When we put these episodes out, if you're listening on Spotify, there is an Interact thing you can do where there is a question, and then there's also a poll that you can answer for the episodes, which I think is pretty fun. And our poll from last episode, which was our AF episode, I asked, would you read more AF if Toyotaro came out with more? And there were three options. More, or if I'm in the mood, or no thanks. And 80% of people said more. They would read more. So
yeah, that's my people right there.
Sorry, Doug, you're in the minority.
I think
there,
you ask
okay.
any Dragon Ball fan if they want more of anything, and they'll say yes. So it's not.
Some people said they didn't.
Not,
They're like, yeah, I'm in the mood.
Well,
so,
but then it'll come out, and they'll still watch it. So I'm the same. Like, hey, give me more A and B material, please.
That's fair. We've got a special little thing here, an update about Doug and his life and the crazy turns have taken place. We do. Doug, you read chapter 1 of Dragon Ball Super, the manga.
Oh, yeah. I finally did it. I finally know who this Beerus guy is.
So, what are your thoughts? You took 3 weeks maybe to read 16 or so pages.
Yeah, long time. Yeah. I love the whole, like, what does it say? Like, the alien dude's like, oh, it's Soup Dasaijin. And Beerus like, Soup Dasaijin. Oh, no, Soup Dasaijin God or whatever. Yeah, whatever. But he makes the two connections Beerus does. Like, oh, yeah, there was something called Super Saiyan God that I'm remembering. Like, I thought that was really nice. It's a lot more believable than in the anime, I think. It's a different way. I think somebody just like a freaking the fishbowl tells him about it or something.
Right. Well, he has that dream, that premonition.
It's all a fever dream for me as well. So I don't know.
Right. Well, it's your third time experiencing that whole thing, because there was the movie, then there was the Super anime, and then
it is. And I did read this chapter when it first came out. When it first came out. So it's not that foreign to me. But yeah, it's something.
It's so long.
It doesn't grab me. It just I don't know, man. It just doesn't grab me.
What if we fast forward to the first chapter of Moro? Would that help? Like, would you be down for that?
Is that right after the Tournament of Power or whatever? Is that?
It's right after Broly.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's try that. Maybe new material.
That's what
I know you offered that before.
I said this.
You 100% did, and I'm like, no, I want to read it from the beginning. And then that turned out to be like, oh, this is a slog for me right now, because it's all stuff I basically know. It is. Right, I would love to go back eventually sometime and see like the different things, but it'll be nice to just see a new story without being tied to the anime. So yeah.
I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you some select favorite pages from the manga. And then we'll work up through there.
Gotcha. No, yeah,
because there's like a whole great bit with Roshi during the Tournament of Power. And fighting Jiren. Think about that. God. Roshi fighting Jiren.
God, that's okay. Yeah, I want to see that. He's a master for a reason.
Yeah, I like that approach. Show him some highlights, but let's just zip along to new stuff, so that way it's a bit more engaging. And then if Doug likes it and he needs more, he's got a few volumes he can go back through.
Right.
And he's got a tablet to read.
He's got his mom, who's got a Dragon's Horde, a super manga back there.
I do believe it was like only 3 or 4 volumes.
It is. I
went back to check.
I stopped collecting that. I think I got to like volume 5, and I'm like, yeah, I'll get them when I get them.
Yeah.
Still $9 on Amazon, more. So it's not. I'm not pressured to buy it right now yet. I might just go ahead and buy them all now that they're in a bundle, maybe. I don't know, man.
That was a quick swing,
sure.
Doug.
Just let him talk him through his process. You'll get there.
That's how I am.
This is super therapy, Doug.
I'm very easily convinced to read Super. Oh my god.
Well,
got a Clockwork Orange to strap me down so I can read it.
Ooh. That's kinky. Thanks for listening. We love interacting with you and keeping you in the conversation and talking about our favorite franchise in the world. Continue to harass Doug to read Dragon Ball Super, even though it's actually happening. Just like, I don't know, be encouraging. Be like, hey, man,
still feels
good job.
like
I'm glad you read a chapter.
Thanks.
You can tweet at us at We Got a Pod. You can email us at wegotapod@gmail.com.
Thank you to Rifti Beats for letting us use this track, Kakarot Theme Hip Hop Trap Remix. You can find that track and other great music by Rifti on his SoundCloud. We also want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Ken, where can the good people find you?
I'm not going anywhere. Same place. Listen to the last episode, and I'm in the same place as then.
Why are you going to make things harder for people?
So enticing. That's the hook.
Is a new. This could have been someone's first episode. This could have been someone's first episode, Ken. And they don't know where
they made it this far. The shtick's not going to change.
You can find Ken at Detective X on Twitter. Randy, where can the people find you?
You can find me at Saber_Breaker. And you can also check out my other podcast, Revolutionary Podcast Utena, where I show somebody else the anime revolutionary girl Utena for the first time. It's short. It's 14 episodes. Give it a listen. It's good stuff. Doug, where do people find you?
You can find Doug at Jabaz Doug. He makes the funnies. If you liked our little show, please go ahead and subscribe. And if you really want to help us out even more, write a review and tell your fellow Dragon Ball fans about us. We'll catch you next time.
Later.
Saraba. That was my Shenlong.